I thought Brexit was breakfasts until I got here.
Did you think it was the first shit you take after breakfast?
A Brexit.
Listen, I want you all to know I improvised that on the spot. It has been 3 years of me largely working exclusively in the medium of topical comedy, and yet somehow I've managed to pull a new Brexit joke out of my, frankly, frazzled anus. So I do believe I deserve a modicum of credit for that.
And I get no credit for that?
You get the assist, baby!
Thank you. As seen assisted on BBC, Colt Cabana.
What? So you had no concept of Brexit?
And then, John Hastings, who I'm doing a wrestling show with here at the Fringe,
brilliant comedian.
He was like, so you have no clue when I was talking about PM does something for Brexit, and I thought PM meant personal messages. Like someone was sliding into my PMs. And then somebody named Tori, I don't know. It's very exhausting.
Colt, it's very difficult for these people to wrap these are British people, and so as such, from birth, they've been told that every single thing that has ever happened largely is reverberated out of their culture. So it's very difficult for them to hear, they're like, oh, actually, no one gives a shit out of this glorified city you call a country. What, so is it not big news? Where do you live in the States?
Well, first of all, I live in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it probably is big news, but all I know about is professional wrestling. If you asked me who wrestled on the 1987 Starrcade match in Charlotte, North Carolina, I can tell you 1 to 10. If you ask me who Boris Johnson is, I'll think it's The Rock's cousin or something.
To be absolutely fair to Boris Johnson, he is what happens when a country does not have pro wrestling. That is what happens when there isn't a sort of arena for big personalities to have their kind of say in. They sort of enter into the political sphere. But so the only way you're going to hear about Brexit is if British Bulldog comes back to professional wrestling and has a new move called the Brexit.
And, rest in peace, British Bulldog. I don't see him coming back anytime soon, but way to bring it up. Way to bring it up.
What do you understand about Brexit now? Presumably somebody...
Okay,
It's a great start.
Oh, God. People want to leave... Okay, they want to leave Europe.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it's not wrong.
And then start their own country?
Again, he's not wrong.
And some people don't.
Basically, let me give you the potted highlights. About 3 years ago, white people, no offence to most of you, lost their fucking minds. Listen, not obviously, hashtag not all white people. But fucking most of you cunts absolutely lost their minds, and now we may not have medicine.
And by we, and you said we, do you mean white people?
No. I mean the rest of us who have got dragged into this sorry shit because none of these cunts ever speak to their grandparents. It could have been averted if some of you had just fucking talked to your don't be racist, grandma. That could have averted so much heartbreak. You fucking crackers make me sick. No offence. You can't get angry if someone says no offence afterwards. I learned that from Andrew Doyle. No offence. No, look, in all seriousness, Brexit is basically what 3 years ago, as a nation, we shat our pants, and now we are pretending we meant to do it. Now as a country we're just going, yeah, we meant to do it. It's warmer.
So who are the bad guys? Who are the heels in this situation?
So the bad guys are the kind of mostly the far right wing and the centre right wing and the right wing.
And what do they want?
They want us to... So we were in this thing called the European Union. So that isn't Europe, the continent of Europe. That was 28 nations within the continent of Europe had all banded together and formed a kind of political and trading agreement. Even when I'm drunk, I'm this dull. Like, over the last sort of, out of the ashes of the Second World War, there was a consensus that maybe Europe, or some of the countries in Europe, needed to form a social and political union in order to avert a future global conflagration, because we just dragged the entire world essentially through 2 world wars inside 50 years because of our own internal shit. So there was a sense that perhaps we needed to be economically and politically interrelated. And that slowly evolved into largely a set of complex trade agreements that in 1975 was ratified, certainly in terms of this country's participation within the context of the trade agreements, into something that evolved into what we call the EU Charter, which essentially allowed free movement of trade across the boundaries of the EU 27 nations. And slowly, over the course of the second half of the 20th century, that morphed into essentially a single political, social and trading bloc. Now, some of those countries participated in a common currency called the euro, which Britain was no longer part of. But all through this period, there was a sort of wider sense of antagonism towards the entire project that was initially driven by the political left of the... What do you expect me to do? This is all I have.
I literally stopped listening after British Bulldog.